So, oof, let me see how I can change slides. By the way, yeah, we're gonna record this webinar. So I don't know, Jon, if you can start the recording. He just said, okay, excellent. And yeah, so very briefly about the agenda for today. We'll start with an introduction. Then we're gonna move on to presenting the preliminary stage. You will find more about that in a second. Then we're gonna look into the source reduction and food redistribution methods and valorization strategies. And then we're gonna move on to the decentralized bio-waste valorization, the centralized one. We're gonna look into what are the enablers to transitioning to a circular system. And we're gonna have two different moments for questions. So yeah, I'll let you know when the moment comes and you can ask questions about what has been presented, but also feel free to drop questions in the chat or unmute yourself. So yeah, so very briefly about eClay. So eClay is the coordinator of the CityLoops project, and we are a association that works with which has a network of more than 2,500 local and regional governments. As you can see on your right, we have 24 offices worldwide. The European office is located in Freiburg in Germany, and we are active in more than 125 countries. In who's speaking to you, I am Malen. I'm going to be moderating and presenting the slides today. And we are also going to have the pilot cities that will be unmuting themselves and speaking, and some of them will be sharing a few slides. So yeah, I'm a circular economy officer, and I've been working very closely with the pilot cities and on this work package 3 that corresponds to biowaste. So very briefly about CityLoops. CityLoops, it's a EU-funded project that focuses on the implementation of circular economy solutions, not only on bio-waste, but also on construction and demolition waste. We have 4 pilot cities: Apeldoorn from the Netherlands, Mikkeli from Finland, Porto from Portugal, and Seville from Spain, and also replication zones like Valles Occidental, Torres Vedras, Murcia, and Espoo. And these replication zones have been twinned and have learned from pilot cities to also replicate some actions, as we have here also Marichel from Valles Occidental. They have learned, for example, from Porto on waste reduction strategies. These 4 cities have been piloting different solutions. For example, Upper Dome with the production of biochar paper, bokashi, and 3D filament. We have Mikkeli by running a separate collection system for bio-waste and producing and optimizing biogas production, Porto installing community composters, and also launching a green space certification system, among other actions. And Seville by developing, if I correct, 2 new collection routes for bio-waste and piloting the production of biomethane. We're going to dive deeper into the different actions in a second. As a result of our project, which is finishing very soon, we're going to be publishing the following documents: the handbook, which took as a reference for this webinar, and which will contain all the results and also recommendations and lessons learned from the cities, from CityLoops cities, and also others. The toolkit, which encompasses different tools that have been produced by the pilot cities throughout the project, any policy or recommendations document for EU and national policymakers. So let's start. Why is bio-waste so important? So by bio-waste, we primarily mean food waste, so kitchen and household waste, and also green waste, for example, from parks. And one of the reasons this is an important stream is because of the high quantity. So more than 30% of bio-waste is in municipal waste. And from this, the majority, 60%, corresponds to food waste and about 35% to green waste. The reason this stream is so important is also because of the negative environmental impacts that it's associated with. Starting with the production of, for example, crops and food is very resource intensive. For example, by utilizing a lot of water and fertilizers, which we know that in excess of the use of fertilizers is also not good for the soil and our ecosystems. Then moving on, the manufacturing and the processing phase. This is very energy intensive. And then last but not least, the treatment or unsustainable disposal of this material stream is also associated with high levels of GHG emissions. At the same time, there's also EU directives, targets, and strategies that are pressing for a more circular bio-waste system. And we have, for example, the Waste Directive with a very clear target to enforce or to make a separate collection of bio-waste mandatory as of the 1st of January. And then we also have the Landfill Directive, where where landfill of recycled waste will be prohibited by 2030. Then we also have strategies like the farm to fork and the bioeconomy strategies that are also very relevant for this particular material stream. So the transition to a circular economy or a circular system is very needed, as I mentioned before, because of the impacts that a linear model has. And what we mean by this, or what the strategies are, there are three main strategies to make the system more circular. First of all, the narrowing, by reducing the resources that are used associated with the production of food, for example, in this case. The slowing, by, as we would say, extending the lifetime of the products. In this case, we are talking about food, so we're talking about preventing that food being becoming waste, and with redistribution and donation models, and the valorization by closing the loop with different recycling or valorization strategies, such as by producing energy or by producing compost, for example. Circularity is not an end in itself, but it means to an end. And that end might be, for example, climate neutrality, and also having an impact, a positive impact on the different SDGs. As we have here just a few examples, for example, by reducing hunger, right? By recirculating waste, like not letting that become waste, by redistributing food, for example, there's more food available for others and perhaps for people in need. Then SDG 7, the affordable and clean energy, by producing different energy sources such as biogas, biomethane, fuel, heat, and so on, and among others SDGs. Local authorities are in a unique position to accelerate the circular transition. Local authorities, on one side, they're waste producers, right? They produce food waste and bio waste, but they're also responsible for the management of it in most of the cases. So, yeah, local authorities have here a responsibility or have a say in how that waste is collected and is treated. Then, as procurers, local authorities procure, for example, food with catering services, but also energy. And then which they can have an influence in actually influencing the market demand, and yeah, and making a meaningful steps in actually finding markets for the products that are produced, as educators, but educating the community and as urban planners. So there are numerous various factors that should be considering when determining the most appropriate solution that a city or a region should go for when it comes when it's about the treatment of the bio waste. And these factors encompass but are not limited to, for example, to the compliance with existing policies and regulations, given that the waste management is a sector that is highly regulated, and it's important for cities to know what can be done and what can't, because this may hinder the implementation of certain solutions. Then understanding what are the characteristics of cities and the waste management system. So understanding the geography, the population, the type of buildings that are in a city, even the road network, and what is also the existing management system, what is the infrastructure that is present, how is waste being treated, and also to be able to understand what are the amounts of waste that are produced and the characterization. So how is that waste composed of? How much of that is food waste? How much of that is green waste? And what is that composition? So On this last point, the biowaste quantification, CityLoops cities have conducted a circularity assessment, which uses the material flow analysis method and has served to quantify and understand how circular the cities are, and specifically also for the sector. So cities have done this assessment for different material streams and including the biowaste stream. So, and for this, we have our first speaker, Adrian, that I would like you to mute yourself and answer to this first questions that we have for you, namely, how useful has been the utilization of this MFA-like method for the city of Apeldoorn? Could you please unmute
I'll mute myself, yes. I've got one slide for that question, so perhaps I show only that slide, or you want to combine it with the next question as well?
Sure. Well, that was the first question, and then the second one is where were these hotspots, as we call, or this spaces or calls to action that were identified, and how are they being addressed within CityLoops and beyond to improve the circularity of the city of Apeldoorn? So yeah, I think Adrian wants to share some slides.
Well, I just want to show one slide actually.
Sure.
But then I have to find my slide where it is. Nee, lekker dit. Eens even uit. Uit. Sorry. Hey? Sorry. I have some. Here it is.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah. Well, this perhaps is for the CityLoops part. It should be an well-known. You see the total overview, I think, of from what metabolism of cities has made in the past. What I would like to explain in here is that if you take a look to the total overview of what kind of material streams are coming in and going out, it is really it's really important to know what kind of materials are going in and what kind of materials are going out. And I can reproduce your question, but what you see here is that the red boxes are actually not activities the municipality of Apeldoorn does. So yes, it is important to know what kind of materials goes in and what kind of materials goes out, but we don't have the influences on those material streams, and that makes it hard to what we have experienced with the MOC webinars and the activities they have done during the project. It was really a kind of awareness that, well, the road to to become a circular economy community or a circular economy is really far away from the municipality of Apeldoorn. Yes, it is important, but at this time it is not a task to collect the data about all these kinds of streams. In the waste section is also what you said before, like we have a special position about waste management, procurers, educators, and urban planning. Yes, we have a special position. Waste management is only separate from household waste we collect via another organization, but waste from organization is not going through the municipality. It's going directly from business to a national authority called LMA. It's a National Management Office of Waste Management Collection. And we have talked to that organization and thought, well, this kind of flows, we have to get more grip on it. but we have to do it in a national way. I'm not sure it is really a direct answer of your question, because your question was, well, for me, a little bit long. So yes, it is important. Yes, it came for us. It was really a kind of awareness to have kind of workshop sessions and to analyze kind of hotspot and to become, okay, what is going on here? But at the same time, we have to realize that where do we have influences and where we don't have. Um, and one of kind of thing we would like to start, it is in the small box in the left, when the application from an Interreg project will be successful, applied. We will start with the electric equipment to understand the import and export of electric equipment. And we will start with a kind of ecosystem. I'm not sure this kind of answer you are thought of.
Yeah, no, it is. I also perhaps would like to follow up on also what you shared with me via email, the perhaps the challenge of finding a unified method also to keep track of the different quantities and the different flows. How do you think that this could change in the near future? Do you see that any conversation is taking place on this regard? Because I know that this is something that many cities are perhaps like struggling with. Perhaps you want to share your thoughts on this, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, it is fine. Well, it is that's one of the issues what has made CityLoops. It made us really a kind of awareness that we are really far away from the um, for the um, for the circular economy. um, or to become circular in your mind. When we started in the project, we was just started with few people, and when you're seeing now, more people in the organization become more aware of, hey, we can reduce our waste stream in construction. How can we reuse of materials? We started with, well, that's the other work package in this case. We start with a company called for a marketplace for two spot. And that's for the bio waste streams a little bit harder, because they're so separate. Well, yes, they are really separate uh, organizations who collect and who collects the waste streams for food, for organic food from inhabitants is going to another organization, what I well said before. And that makes it
Okay.
hard to get grip on the whole flows. And we know and we understand. And well, some thoughts are can we make those flows? But where do you start and where do you do you end? We don't know what is happening when the food waste is going to a plant. It will be produced, or they make biogas of it. Where does it go to? It's going where there are more locations in the Netherlands where they can bring their bio waste streams to, but we actually don't know. So we should, well, this exercise uh, have make really an awareness of how actually we don't really know what is happening with all those waste
Mm.
streams, and that makes it, well, kind of awareness.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your answer. So only all in all, while the methodology perhaps it's a little bit complicated to make it like mainstream and the data collection process wasn't easy, I guess all in all, it was positive for the awareness raising purpose primarily from what I understood.
Absolutely.
Um, Thank you, Adrian. So we are gonna, I hope you can see my screen again. There you go. So moving on to the implementation phase. So sorry, here. Yeah, we have our bio waste hierarchy, as you see here, which is inspired by the waste hierarchy that you probably know, which ranks different solutions based on the environmental benefits. So typically, you have the source reduction or the avoidance of the product in the first place, or the material in the first place, then it's reuse, and then recycling. And so here, what we wanted to highlight is that to narrow, slow, and close the biological cycles, there are different solutions and methods that could be implemented. And following the order that I was just presenting, as you remember previously from narrowing, we have the source reduction, then food redistribution, decentralized valorization, which is the recycling at the source, and there is no transportation involved, and then the centralized valorization, where collection of the material is needed. And as you can see, we have not included waste to energy or the landfilling, as these are not considered really circular and do not go in line with what the different targets and directives propose and incentivize to do. So we're going to start with the source reduction and food redistribution. And for that, we have an example for one of our demonstration cities, Porto. So the source reduction, so food waste is produced by different actors, not only in households, but also by restaurants or catering services. And what the city has done here was to collaborate with restaurants to, first of all, raise awareness on the quantities of food waste that were produced. And they did this by weighting, for example, the food waste, and by also separating it into edible and unedible food waste. So whether that was, for example, bones, which is inedible, or actually leftovers. Um, as a second step, there was some training that took place not only on how to prepare more sustainable meals by using, for example, local products, but also to use less ingredients, to cross-use that for different, to produce different meals, and ultimately also to adjust portion sizes. So this is one of the ways that they managed to reduce food waste. And the initiative is called Doce Certa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then they also the municipality partner with an existing food donation network, Cero Desperdicio, with the purpose of expanding this network. So in the lifetime of this project, about 144 tons of food waste was avoided. And 14 donors and 6 receivers participated. And the amount of food that was donated was equivalent to 207,000 of meals. So I would like to invite Delmo now to tell us a little bit more about this first initiative, Doce Certa, and then we're going to move on to the food donation network. Delmo, could you please unmute yourself and share 3 key factors for successful implementation of food waste prevention action with this initiative?
Thank you so much, Malin. I just like to start with saying that when we do this project at the restaurants or canteens, the first question that we make to the owners is how much food waste do you make? And normally the answer is none. We don't make food waste. But one of the key success factors of this project is because we measure the waste, and the owners and the staff and also the clients understand how much food waste is being produced in restaurants. So this is the first key success factor, the mandatory food waste measurement. Another one is the engagement of all the owners and staff and clients. We do this by providing some training for both owners and staff, but also for some clients that are present in the restaurants, so they understand how much food waste is being produced and how much food waste is impacting the environment. Also, we try to motivate the staff, mainly the staff, through incentives like training and also communication campaigns. This is also something important to provide to the restaurants. And of course, being a restaurant, being a company, they should also be interested in the economic impact. How much money are they losing by throwing away good food? So we measure also the economic impact, and we highlight the financial implications and benefits of reducing their food waste. These are the three main factors for success of this project. Since you measure, you'll understand it, and so people will be more aware for food waste.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are very valuable learnings. Thank you for sharing. And the second question is about the added value. Well, it's what was the added value of collaborating with an existing food redistribution network, namely Cero Desperdicio, and what were the learnings from the implementation of this demonstration action?
Well, since we are working with already existing structures, this Zero Desperdicio, this is a collaboration for the municipalities, where we can link the food providers, those with the food surplus, with those which are in need. Normally, the social entities they don't work directly with the receivers, but they work with the social entities that understand how communities can thrive through these donations. So the network uses all the resources that already exist. They provide information for the municipalities, so the municipality knows how much food waste is being transitioned through the network. And I think one important thing to mention is that this idea didn't come from the social part of society. This was created with an environmental point of view. So Zero Desperdicio wants us to know how much food waste is being produced and what is the impact on the environment. They use a business intelligence tool, so they can provide that data digitally and easily for all the participants. About the learnings from the implementation of this section, so I could say that being a network that is dependent on the involvement of all the stakeholders, it's crucial to have the support of the municipality. If the municipality is involved, everything will work. So this is really important to have the local authorities present in this network. We also want to have as much as possible the involvement of different municipal departments, such as I can say that the environmental part, the social, and also the economical, because it's important to have it articulated, articulate this action between all of them, so that everyone knows which part they can do. Another thing that it is important, the HACCP, the hazard analysis and critical control points, this is still something that is difficult to work with, because in Portugal we have a really strong, I can say, food police. We call it ASAI. They are really strict on the conditions that the food should be delivered. So it's really important, and Zero Desperdicio helped to demystify this problem, and they arranged solutions so that the food could be delivered with safely to the people that will use it.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing all those very valuable learnings, and on the collaboration across departments and involvement of in the political support. We're gonna go into that in a little bit. Thank you. Here we have the first moment for questions on what has been presented so far. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat, or if anybody wants to unmute, you can unmute yourself or raise your hand and ask any questions to the speaker so far, or to what has been presented in the slides. Otherwise, I will move on, but I want to leave a few seconds. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
That's the point of this question mark, right? I'm Rudy de Vries from the city of Haarlem. Thank you for your presentations. And I was wondering, it's a lot about food waste. For me, it's not a new subject, but I didn't know the project CityLoops, of course, because we're not in it. But we in Haarlem do collect food which is on the date of expiration, and that's done by an organization, and we subsidize them, and in that manner we save about 10,000 meals a week or something like that. So that's quite a lot. And what they do, they collect the food from the supermarkets. And that's my question on the projects, which from the Portuguese colleagues are they also considering to collect the food from the supermarkets?
Well, we don't do the collection. Normally, the social entities go to the supermarket. So Zero Desperdício is just a platform to.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, we stop hearing you. Delmo? Maybe he can also hear us.
Telmo,
Maybe we sent a message.
I will. Yes, I will call him.
It's so.
Maybe his headphones are unplugged.
Shit. He is muted.
No, we cannot hear you still.
Ok, vou experimentar. Vou experimentando. No.
You already hear
yeah.
you.
Can you say something, Telmo? I think we can. No.
Tell me, I can hear you now. Can you talk?
Maybe now you can hear me?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry. So I was saying that the Zero Desperdício is just a platform where they don't do collection. They demonstrate to the social entities that the supermarket, for example, has some food waste that can be collected by the social entity, and then they can go there and receive the food, not just from supermarkets, but also from restaurants, from canteens, for everyone that has some surplus food.
Yeah, well, it works the same in Haarlem. We also collect from other food productions like canteens or restaurants. But I just wanted to mention that, and I think it's very well. It's a topic which is not always on top of mind if we call it, if we're talking about climate change and the CO2 production, but the amount of CO2 carbon dioxide in food is huge. So it's also a call to other cities to just to work on it, because there is a lot to get in this manner. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Due to time constraints, we're gonna move on. And if there are any questions, please write them down, and we will try to address them at the end of the session of the webinar. So moving on to decentralized biowaste valorization methods. The most common ones are, for example, home and community composting, and also not so common but still very relevant, anaerobic digestion vermicompost. There are several benefits associated to decentralized valorization methods. For example, they are cost effective, or compared to building big infrastructure and centralized plants, it's less the investment cost that is required. There's big savings of GHG emissions due to also that transportation is safe and it's not needed compared to actually transporting the waste elsewhere, as this takes place at source, right? The recycling of the waste. There's As you see there, it's also a challenge, perhaps a social acceptability benefit. As well, the citizens are engaged and they take ownership and responsibility and actively participate in the solution, and the local biodiversity or preservation of the local ecosystem, as it's more likely that if compost is produced at the spot, that also residents benefit from that and they use it in their own gardens. The challenges on the other side are the need of available of certain amounts of this feedstock, and the quality of that is also important. As I said before, the social acceptance of having such a solution, for example, in your backyard or nearby on the street where you're living, and the skills that are required to maintain and monitor, for example, composters. And about this, we're going to present the example of Porto, who selected, first of all, they did a selection of the area based on where separate collection was not in place yet, and where there was a big density of buildings that didn't have a backyard, for example. Yeah, which was the case. They installed 5 composters, and they selected a compost master who would monitor the composters, take care of the logistics, and communicate with the residents. To promote this and engage with citizens, they did door-to-door communication and also workshops with the residents to teach them how to use the composters. And they also, at the end, they did an event to celebrate the first production of compost, where they shared the compost with the residents. So I would like to again have Telmo invite you to answer to this question, on how easy or difficult it is in practice to install and run community composters. It sounds very nice on paper, but on reality, practically, how does it work? And would you advise other cities to consider community composters to treat their biowaste? I hope we can hear you now.
Let's see if
Yes,
you can hear it. Yeah,
we can
okay.
hear you.
So I would like to answer first the would you advise other cities to consider this? Of course, everyone should consider this solution as a way to locally manage their bio-waste. But of course, this should be an integrated system. So not all the sites will work for the community composting. Not all the sites will work for the selective collection. So we have to work together to understand which are the best places to install this system. We believe that this is a system that is really easy to install. It's not really difficult to do it, but to make people work with it, it's something that is not that easy. So we really have to support the people that wanted to make the system work, and the people that work with the system, because if you want the citizens to participate, we really have to go door to door and talk to people face to face and explain everything and how it works, because problems will occur. We are dealing with biowaste, so sometimes the smells might not be the best smell in the compost bin, but everything can be worked out if we talk with the people, and if the citizens will do something out of the compost. So I think it's really easy to do it. Something that is really important to this is to have someone that monitors the system. So this is a crucial part of the system. You should have someone that controls the compost bins, the compost islands. We call it ilhas de compostagem, the composting islands, because they are really islands for the biowaste. But yes, it is easy if we do have the tools that will make it possible. I don't know if you have any more questions about this.
Yeah, no, thank you. This was very valuable. So all in all, very positive, but the challenge of actually informing, raising awareness, having the citizens on board, and having also someone, as you call the compost master, that will indeed monitor and be the, so to say, like the middleman there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to centralized biowaste treatment methods to, as opposed to the decentralized one, this do not take place at the source, but elsewhere. And there is transportation involved and collection system in place that needs to be to collect the biowaste and transport it to the facility. So here the most common methods are, for example, the composting plant, but any other facility that, for example, also produces biogas through anaerobic digestion, or a bokashi facility or a biochar production plant. The benefits are that these facilities can treat large volumes of waste, and well, therefore we have economies of scale, and they can treat this resource efficiently and produce also large quantities of different products or energy. The challenges are space and the high upfront costs, citizen participation, who, as opposed to decentralized methods, they don't really perhaps see where their waste is going, what is done with that. So perhaps they don't take so much, I would say, like ownership or responsibility, and therefore it has been observed that the quality of that waste is different. And then there needs to be a market demand in place, or a business model, revenue model, to make it economically also feasible. As I said before, there needs to be separate collection, and we have the example of the city of Seville that install a total of 74 containers that could collect more than 9,000 kilograms of biowaste monthly. And these containers were smart bins. Oh, there's a typo there, but they had electronic locks and sensors to be able to determine when those containers would be full and when they need to be collected, to also make collection more efficient. And the city also produced a tool or a website so that citizens could find the collection spot nearby. And for this, they did communication campaigns. More on this later, but they communicated in schools with citizens. And also, as you said, Thelma, door to door was the most efficient, I believe. But I will give the word to Pedro. And I would ask you to unmute yourself and answer to this first question. How did the use of data enable the implementation of biowaste separate collection in the city?
Well, so in our case, the technology that we use are, as you mentioned, Malin, smart locks, level sensors, and also an 90 tool that we have developed in this framework of CityLoops has helped us in two approaches. One approach is the optimization of the logistics, because the IT tool has the capacity to combine the data from smart locks and from level sensors in order to give recommendations to optimize the logistics, to optimize the locations of the containers, and also for the planification. And the second approach is taking in consideration that our regular or our main waste collection systems in the city are side-load open containers in the surface of the city. Put a smart lock in a containers gives to the citizens the feeling of a mental barrier. So with this, we have obtained that the people has more aware about the waste that they produce. We have, in some way, we have put names to the waste. So this gives the producer more purity in the collection and more better quality for the ulterior treatments. This is the mainly approaches.
Thank you. And on the second question, perhaps what are the recommendations that you will give to other cities on how to set up a separate collection system?
So, first of all, study deeply and very good the area or your city, in order, like, for example, try to give zoom in the area that you want to implement the biowaste and study if the characteristics, if they are more residential, if they have, for example, more commercial density. Also have a look in the rest of waste that you collect separately in this area. So you have to avoid that to implement a biowaste collection system is not only put, in our case, one container more in the street. You have to optimize all the collection of the area. So study deeply your city or your area, pilot. So I'm sure that all the cities have enough diversity in order to try to prove and test different alternatives of the collections. Try also integrate this kind of system that you want to implement to the biowaste in the rest of the systems that you have also running. Like, for example, if for your area you have door-to-door collection, it will be easier for the citizens that you implement biowaste also doing door-to-door collection, because they are more familiar with this kind of system. And last but not least, try to involve from the beginning to the social agents of the city or in the particular area. As I'm talking about community associations, neighborhood associations, commercials associations that are running in the area. So try to try to pass from the notification or to informant to involve them. So try to share with them the decisions that you are going to take. Like, for example, the location of containers from a critical point that you feel that we have some difficulties. So this, in my personal opinion, this kind of lessons or this kind of actions empower and motivate people to participate in the system,
making them really part of the solution and going beyond just informing them. Thank you, Pedro. We're gonna move on to another example on centralized treatment, which is in the city of Mikkeli, that has been running the BioCycle, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is a biogas plant that has been running since 2021. And the actions that took place as part of CityLoops had to do with the optimization of the production of biogas, so improving the quality by using biochar, and also trying to enhance the properties of the digestate, or like the fertilizer, also with biochar, and recovering nutrients as well from this digestate or the residue that comes from the production of biogas. So I would like to invite Woko, Hannah, and Tina, and I would ask you, well, I would say then the two questions at once, right? And then I think you're gonna share a slide. So the first question is, what are the main learnings obtained from the implementation of this optimization strategies that I just mentioned? And what are the recommendations that you can give to cities that are looking into anaerobic digestion as a potential valorization treatment for their biowaste?
Okay, thank you, Malen. So the material flow fed to biogas reactor should be optimized so that the process remains balanced and the biogas production can be maximized, so we get more energy. And it's very important to have material storage and pre-treatment facilities for the biogas plant, like BioCycle has, and so the process can be controlled and optimized. And according to our CityLoops demonstration and lab scale test, biochar addition in the biogas process can prevent the effect of harmful or inhibiting materials and improve the quality of biogas. So the amount of biochar addition must be carefully optimized because then it could be harmful if it's so more than 1% added in tested biochar can be. More over 1% can be harmful. And of course, attention must be paid to quality of biochar. It's very important. because biochar raw material and pyrolysis conditions play an important role the quality of biochar and its functional in different application. And we used biochar-based biochar, and it has very good quality and on analysis and ecotoxicity tests. And biochar can also improve the property of soil improvement, like a fertilizer product and for degastated. It can be like water and nutrient retention capacity. And you have the other questions and recommendation. And so anaerobic processing or separated collect biowaste into the nutrient promotes the development of circular economy in the cities. But cities must first find of the biogas potential of the area. So first find out the bio waste and other organic separated collected materials. So you can calculate the potential of the biogas production. And then you have theoretic biogas yield of the material. And make a preliminary investment plan for the biogas plant, including the commercialization of the end product. So you have nutrient, transport biomethane, or electricity and heat production maybe. And then process of the biogas plant must be optimized. So this is very important that you implement your material in lab and pilot scale and demonstration scale experiment. And when the investments start, it's very, very important to communicate with the residents and in order to get as much as separated, collected, good, very good quality biowaste as possible. Thank you, Malene.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And this reflects a little bit what we were presenting before of understanding the quality, what is the market for that, to have like social acceptance and social and engagement. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And I also, from what I remember, it's that the studies were the first ones of this kind in Finland, from what I read in the report that you drafted. So I think this were really valuable findings. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to share my screen again. Yes, wait, how can I? Can you see also the teams? I don't know how to move that away. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so now the next example that we have is two different solutions that have been piloted in Apeldoorn. The first one on the production of bokashi, which works like compost as a soil enhancement. And this was produced, while it was centralized, it was locally produced and replaced the use of regional compost that was before imported. And the bokashi was produced from leaves and applied on two different parks. And the results have shown that the quality of the soil was indeed improved. And then we have the 3D filament printing, which was made, the filament was made with Japanese knotweed, which is an invasive plant species in the region, and combined with bio-based plastic was that this the 3D printing could take place, and they produce decorative objects as you see here. And they've collaborated the city together with the Collab space or maker space to produce this. And from what I know, also they're exploring, maybe Adrian, you can tell us more about that, but exploring the possibility of using this filament to produce objects that can be used in repair cafes, for example, to replace parts of products that are broken. So I would like to give the word to Adrian. And I would like to ask you, what were the key factors for the implementation of these two demonstration actions? Could you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure. I was just notice your question. What were the key factors for the implementation of the two demos? For the one, for the bokashi, it was actually soil improvement. It was the main reason to record the key factor to implement. And we will continue with the bokashi for the future, in combination with or in collaboration with the Wageningen University and Research, and that project will end in 2025. And we continuing those the results to monitor, because what you see it's overall that the vegetations seem more resistant to drought, soil improves for pH and microbiomes compared to plots that not has been treated with bokashi. And for both the pilot fields, we have no hazardous substances for humans or the environment found. So actually what you see here is that the soil really improve by, treat them with bokashi. So we will, for the next coming years, continuing and show that it is really better to use bokashi, but at the same time, we will try to figure out if we don't treat the locations with bokashi, but just mills it on that location, if it will be have so if it has the same kind of results or not. And we will set up a work process to how does it work, and how can other city perhaps use this kind of process as well. And for the 3D printing, I just sent it earlier to you, but I'm actually not sure if we will continue with the 3D printing from Japanese knotweed, but last Monday we have a meetup with Wageningen as well, and we will make a short description what the needs are for the 3D printing in combination with what kind of stakeholders are needed. So actually, perhaps 2 weeks ago, we say, we don't actually know if we would like to continue with the Japanese knotweed that we can 3D printing, but now we think, okay, it is really actually, it should be really good to continue, because the invasion will not be removed within the coming years, and there are 342 municipalities in the Netherlands who can have profit of our research, what we did after the last 4 years. So we would like to start a proposal and send it to the board that it will be a shame if we stop here. We should continue, and we have to find out what kind of entrepreneurs perhaps can make some products with 3D printing, or what you said already, can we have parts in electric equipment that we can replace when we have the 3D printing from Japanese knotweed.
Great, thank you for sharing, and I'm glad that these conversations are taking place, and let's see what the outcome of that is. Thank you, Adrian, for sharing. We're gonna move on to the last section, the enablers, or enabling the transition to a circular system. So the shift towards circularity needs of a system change, and there are actions, cross-cutting actions that local authorities can take to enable and accelerate this transition. And the following cross-cutting actions can be taken before, during, and after the implementation of projects. And I'm not going to go into each of them, but for example, one of them we already mentioned, which is crucial awareness raising, and we are not going to dive a little bit deeper into that. Financial support, integrated management, and political support was also already mentioned. Procurement, the engagement of different stakeholders, or as Thelma was saying, also like departments, promoting innovative solutions like the 3D filament, 3D printing, the development of strategy and a roadmap, the collection of data and the assessment of data for decision-making purposes, and capacity building and education. So we have the example of Porto on integrated management and political support. And as Sarah, I believe, and Thelma also were mentioning before, in Porto, these three main actors, well, LIPOR, so the Metropolitan Waste Management Authority, Porto Ambiente, and the municipality of Porto, work really closely together and collaborated, and also took decisions collectively, which showed, compared to perhaps other cities, that this was something that had very positive results. And on top of this, also they received political support from the municipality, and also the vice mayor was involved in different events, CityLoops events, such as the sharing of the first compost, and it was also part of the entrepreneurship contest. So I would like to invite Sara on the stage and ask her what were the key factors in this collaboration with other actors for the implementation of the different actions. And maybe I will already ask the second one, and then you can give one answer. And if you have any advice on how to work across with multiple stakeholders, departments, and actors, and obtain the necessary political support that you have indeed obtained. So could you please mute yourself? I believe you wanted to share a slide. Is that correct?
I think that I don't need it.
Okay. Okay.
So this participation of and support of advisor politician was through all the initiatives, not only related with the community composters, but across all the initiatives, biowaste selective collection, biowaste circularity models that included the circular procurement, the green space certification system, the circular entrepreneurship initiative. So our political advisor and this our political decision was very enthusiastic and was fundamental to the success of all the initiatives. And we had a very good key factor that was he was vice mayor, and additionally was the city councillor for environment, climate, innovation, and digital transition. So this we had an advantage of it because he was completely collaborate completely in the Porto strategy of food system, especially in biowaste, and he was present in all initiatives. So it was also a sign of his commitment, and then all the departments that are under his management need to be together with this signal, and this was very good. And the other thing that was very important was look to the food system in a systemic approach. So we didn't look to the biowaste separated from the production, from the prevention, from the consumption. So this was fundamental to work through the other departments and bring all the different services to work together with us. And involve them in different moments, not only at the implementation, but also discuss with them what was the best way of implementing the initiatives, and this is fundamental. Other good key factor was that the municipal companies are part of the structure of Porto municipality. Porto Ambiente is a municipal company, and we work in a very closer relationship, and this was very also fundamental that all the initiatives work and have success on it. And Porto municipality has a very vertical hierarchy, very strong. But on the other hand, we work very closer to the political decision maker. In this case, to vice mayor, to the department's directors, to the office heads, and so the technical collaboration are also relevant and are valorized in this relationship. So, often the initiative come from bottom up, and this is also a very important key to be persistent, to insist, and even related with across other departments, not give up on the initiatives that we were trying to implement and we implemented. And also a good key factor is take advantage of the momentum. So the food system is a sector that is having all the eyes on that. So taking advantage on it is also a very good key factor. And having a cohesive team, not only in CityLoops, but the way that we work together. This is fundamental to the initiative's work. In the CityLoops, also bringing the, for example, related with CityLoops collaborative network that we implemented here in the region, bringing the stakeholders together, valorize their contributes and learn together, not being closed in ourselves, and involve all the stakeholders. I would say that those are the key factors. Related to the second question, I would say that additional to everything that I would already say, having initiative, have a transversal approach, involve the political decision from the beginning, and also the other departments from the planning, implementation, operation, and maintenance. Have regular evaluations, adaptations, and improvements, adjust related to the expectation, related to the needs, and related to the resource. This is having regular updates and regular communication through the team and through the stakeholders. Yes, and recognize and share the achievements. I would say that these are the advice that we select to share with you.
Thank you. Wow, so many valuable insights and recommendations. And yeah, we have the example of the sharing achievement with the sharing the first compost. I want to highlight from what you said, the early engagement and the systemic approach, and involving all the stakeholders, plus the regular communication with them. I think, yeah, you share with us very valuable insights and complement with what was already said before. So thank you for that. We're gonna move on to the awareness raising as one of these cross-cutting actions. And well, communication and raising awareness, as we have seen, is very important for every action that is implemented. And Seville has has communicated with two main stakeholders in different ways, with citizens in the Eureka sector, with citizens with the purpose of improving separate collection, and with the Eureka sector with the purpose of reducing food waste. So for the citizens, there were communication campaigns targeting different age groups, for example, in schools, but in other public spaces that citizens were approached. Bio-waste kits were distributed, where there were kitchen bins and also bags that were given for free to citizens. And the mailing and posters were used also as a resource to approach the citizens. And for the Eureka sector, leftover food packaging was distributed to restaurants and caterings, and also brochures, informative brochures. So I would like to have Pedro responding to this question: what communication strategies were most effective and why? And actually, also, do you agree with what Demo said, that the most effective for them was door to door? Can you also react to that?
Well, it's a very complex question because, to be honest, it's not easy to determine what of different strategies and or approaches have more contribute to the results of the project. So I think at the end, it's all adds up. So, and it's one thing that I have been learning about the years is like when you more invest in terms of times, in terms of resources, in communications, the results will be better. So, during my feeling during the CityLoops activities are that people will receive personal or face-to-face actions. So give them the opportunity to listen with their own ears that what consist the systems, why it's important. Give also the opportunities to ask questions, to expose other associated concerns. So this gives you this is very well received.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Due to the time constraints, I'm gonna not address that second question, but what you responded actually would partially also answer this one. But we will move on to public procurement as also one of the relevant actions that local authorities can take. And for this, we have the example of the city of Mikkeli that developed 2 procurement guidelines, one with the aim of reducing the amount of biowaste, and the other one targeting transportation, logistic, and traffic services, and particularly the use of biogas as a transportation fuel. And these guidelines were developed in consultation with experts, and market dialogue also took place. And these guidelines were not only developed within CityLoops, but they were also tested. And 2 main procurement tenders, I guess, took place. One for procuring biogas powered buses and waste trucks, and to procuring soil was produced in the biogas plant. So I would like to invite Ilka. And I would like to ask you, what are the lessons learned of the procurement activities that were carried out in Mikkeli? Do you have some slides?
Here we go. The procurement activities and lessons learned in Mikkeli. So just briefly, actually, we didn't have any direct procurement activities or bids related to the organic waste in Mikkeli, but our focus was to promote the use of the biogas as a motive power all in all in procurement processes, and to reduce of the amount of the organic waste, and on the other hand to enhance the gathering of organic waste through procurement processes. So that is why we were documenting 2 successful example procurement processes, and then we were based on those experiences during the project, and also when documenting with the professionals those example cases, we created a common procurement guides for how to handle organic waste and the biogas in procurement. That was the actions that we made. Of course, after this, we have used those guidelines and those experiences in our the ongoing procurement processes. What we learned that when you think about the promoting the circularity in the whole process of procurement process, or if you interact with the procurers, you are never too early. So start early as possible. So the procurers, they are busy. The timetables, timescales are too short and too busy. So you need to step into the process right in the beginning. And then I would like to point out the importance of the market engagement. It's very important when we are trying to enhance the circularity within the procurements, because if you think about it a little bit further, the companies are actually responsible of the circularity then when we are organizing activities through the procurement. So we learned that the live meetings with the companies only provided as a common level answers from the companies. So face-to-face meetings are necessary. They are the most important ones, because the companies, they do not want to tell their secrets to their competitors. So, but then again, we found out that the companies were ready or even suggested more circular criteria or opportunities. They asked for the opportunities. So if you want to enhance the process, if you want to involve new ideas and opportunities, start early, because the companies, they do have some solutions and ideas. If I finally, some piece of advice when enhancing the procurement processes, so to enhance the circularity within your procurement activities, you have to realize that there is some risk always involved. So what we learned that the procurers feel sometimes that they are alone with that risk. So the risk has to be handled and realized and understood as an organizational risk. So the procurers are, if they do not have that support, they might be even afraid of using the circular criteria, for example. And furthermore, leave room for innovative ideas in the contract plan or the core properties. Make the companies to compete with their ideas. So they do not have, they do have suggestions and ideas, so make use of them. And then last but not least, consider all means of market engagement as a possibility. Don't rule out anything. And I mean that, for example, in Finland, it is very common to organize a meeting, open meeting, webinar or meeting where all the companies are, and then you discuss about the case in hand. And that is not very, how to say, it's not a very good way to organize it. So use, for example, workshops, face-to-face meetings, and so on. There are no limits for that. For example, in if you think about the procurement law, for example, in Finland. So use your imagination, involve the companies in early stages, and use all the means that you can figure out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I like how you say, okay, this might be perceived as a risk, but the way, in a way to mitigate that, it's really engaging and talking with the market, the companies, and how you also say how that perhaps communication should take place and how face-to-face might be the most effective for this. Thank you for sharing. Now, the last few minutes, I would like to give that to questions if there are any. So please feel free to raise your hand or write questions in the chat. Simon. I don't think, did people hear what Simon just said? Oh, they couldn't
No?
hear you. Sorry, because I have him next to me, so I did not realize.
No, nothing.
Sorry, do you? Well, I'm muted, so perhaps you just can speak louder and they will hear you through my. Wait, let's just.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can
Oh
hear
yeah,
you.
sorry.
Oh,
So my apologize.
sorry, I did not realize. Okay, say it again, please.
Yeah, so I was asking an open question. So we've got several cities in the audience, especially Haarlem, in the Netherlands. We've got Esch-sur-Alzette in Luxembourg. So it would be interesting to hear about what you do in relation to bio-waste in your cities. If you're already collecting bio-waste separately, if you're treating bio-waste, everything that you do in relation to what we presented from CityLoops. Thank you. I mean, this is pretty much up to you to present what you are doing, but that would be really interesting to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes, you can hear me. If you want, I can say a few words. My name is Jean Obim. I'm the representative of the city of Esch-sur-Alzette. Yes, we have a biomass collecting system. So it's not an on-demand, but it's a regular bio-waste system, and we have a bio-waste plant with treating this bio-waste, so producing biogas and compost that is used and in the communities all around this plant. So that's how it works for us. So we have already implemented, I think, all we need in this department. So also this is for the inhabitants. It's a free of charge service, so it costs nothing. So this bio waste is free of charge, not like the gray or black trash cans. You don't pay for this, but you must pay for the end product, the compost. You have to pay for it to get it and even deliver it at home. So the plant is from us here. It's 3 to 4 kilometers, so it's very near to the city, and it's a plant especially for the south. But it uses also all the green cuttings from nearly whole Luxembourg is brought to them and treated, so methanized, and then composted to get yes, the compost you need for planting your plants.
Great. Thank you so much for this great testimonial.
Well, in the city of Haarlem, it's almost the same. I can be very short about it, but it's almost the same organized like in Luxembourg. Maybe some little difference, but I mean, in the inner city of our city, we find it very difficult to collect bio waste because of the lack of space to get enough containers. But that's only a small part of the city in the end. So that's it. So we already doing this.
Great. Thank you, really. So now I know what I wanted to know. So thank you very much, both.
I don't know if we have any more questions. I see Megan typed a question in the chat for all next steps, giving all the good work. I don't know if anyone wants to share about their next steps and continuation of different actions. Anyone? Otherwise, more on that in the handbook, which I would like to share again this slide on our upcoming publications. Yeah, but if anybody wants to mute themselves and share something, feel free to do so. No, okay. Okay, thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Thank you to our wonderful speakers that share such valuable lessons and recommendations with us today. This has been recorded, so I think, yeah, more on that with Jan when that will be published and made available. But yeah, so the upcoming publications, again, we have the handbook that will be published very soon, where a lot of these recommendations, reflections, and lessons are reflected. So we would invite you to look into that very soon. The toolkit, as I mentioned, with the different tools, including, for example, the one we share, Civil's one, and the website, and the policy recommendations as well. So thank you, everyone. And we finished just on time. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
bye bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.